Okay, I'm here with Alex Vaughn, and Alex is going to give a presentation on this motorcycle. Now, Alex, I know there's a lot of things on this bike, and I can see just by the hand grips there that some of these buttons, you know, I'm not a young kid, so they kind of scare me. But I'll bet you could simplify it for the folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the BMW is a very technology-focused bike. You know, in the cars and the motorcycles, they put a lot of futuristic technology into their motorcycles, and the Bagger's no exception. It does have a keyless fob that you're familiar with in most of the cars. You just press the ignition button there and it boots up the dash. It is, now there's a couple of specs on the bike. It is an inline 6-cylinder, 1649cc, 160 horsepower, which is a big draw for a lot of the performance guys out there who maybe want a little bit more performance in a large cruiser style or bagger style motorcycle. On the left-hand grip, as you were pointing out, there is some different buttons and everything to give you a little tour. This is the windscreen. It's fully electronic. This is the short windscreen, and you can swap to a larger one if you like. You can pick that sweet spot when you're riding that's going to give you the perfect wind for that situation, wherever you like it to be. It does have electronic cruise control that you can set and anytime on the fly. It does have extra LED driving lights that are mounted down on near the forks, so it gives you that triangle of visibility, makes you a lot more visible to cars on the road. And then the R here is the actual reverse gear, and I'll give you a little demonstration of that in a little bit. The bike's got to be running for that, but it's pretty cool as well.
And there are different riding modes?
Yes, on the right hand grip here on the mode switch, when you click that, it's got a dynamic mode here, which is kind of like a sport mode. It's a very performance throttle, very direct, and it reduces the ABS and traction control a little bit. Rain mode is the opposite. It reduces the throttle response and it gives you higher levels of traction and ABS. And road mode is kind of your everyday riding. It's middle of the road on ABS settings, traction control setting, and throttle response is a little bit more relaxed. You can change those on the fly, so if you're riding and you start getting into a rainstorm, or you can switch it to rain mode, or if you're coming up on your favorite roads, your twisties that you like to hit, you can flip it into dynamic mode. This one's also equipped with electronic suspension adjustment. So jumping into the first menu button screen here, it's got a road mode and a cruise mode. And these are 100% adaptive. So it's actually reacting 100 times a second to the road while you're riding. And you can basically choose these two presets of what's going to be your favorite. Road mode is a little stiffer. You're gonna feel a bit more of the bumps, but it's going to be a little bit better reaction. Cruise mode is going to be a little bit softer. So if you're on the highway, you don't want to feel as many bumps and get beat up, you can flip it to cruise mode. You use this wheel on the left hand grip like a mouse, and you scroll up and down in the menus. You can also notice here you've got helmets. This is a single helmet with bags, and 2 helmets based on how much weight is going to be on the bike, so it can make the calculations for the suspension.
Okay, I think that's an excellent presentation, Alex, and I guess the next step is just to take it for a ride.
That sounds great. Yeah.
All right, the first thing I notice is the bike is pretty low to the ground. The seat height is, they say 30 inches, and this is the standard seat. There is a lower one available, but at 5'7", I had no problem flat-footing this bike. And you might hear some wind noise because on this particular helmet I'm wearing, it seems like if I keep the face mask open, you get less wind noise. It's a strange deal, but that's the way it is. And this motorcycle does have an electric windshield, so I could bring it up, cut down the wind, and that seems quite a bit better now. There are also vents here on the side that it can open up if you want more wind coming towards your chest. You can open those up on a hot day, and it is a hot day here in Florida. However, I want to keep as much wind off the recording as possible, so I'll keep those closed. This is a 6-speed transmission. This bike does have a feature where you can upshift and downshift without using the clutch. And that is, you know, if you want to do wide open shifts, you can do it on this motorcycle. I don't think that's something I'm going to try. This bike has, by the way, 160 horsepower, weighs about 740 pounds. That means there is a lot of power. I'm in road mode, which is supposed to be less sensitive throttle. But since I'm used to Harley Davidsons, where you got a heavy flywheel, so the throttle is not nearly as sensitive as it is on this bike. There's also a rain mode, which I may try, because I like the throttle to be not quite as sensitive as what I'm feeling here. This inline six is extremely smooth. I mean, so smooth that you feel virtually no vibration at all. In this normal mode that the bike is in, or road mode, it's a very plush ride. Don't notice hardly any bumps at all. And there are a few on this road. Well, now in 6th gear, and boy, this bike still pulls very strong. Downshift it once, and it really takes off. Turn in is beautiful. By the way, this is shaft drive. Just about all BMWs are shaft drive. They've been so for many, many years. They may have even invented shaft drive on motorcycles. There's also, if you're a taller rider, there's another windshield available that sits it up a little bit higher, so you can, you know, if you're 6 foot or over, you might want the taller windshield. Block that wind from coming to your face. I believe this is 122 foot-pounds of torque on this motorcycle, but that occurs up around, I think, 5,200 RPM, so it's not like it has a lot of grunt right off of idle. I mean, it's got plenty of power at any time, but it's not like a high torque motor like your normal cruiser. The BMW made this bike to compete with other baggers, and price-wise, it's in the $25,000 price range. It does compete with all the, you know, Honda Gold Wings and the Harley Davidson Ultra Limited, etc. They're all in that $25,000 to $30,000 price range, depending on which model. And as far as styling of this motorcycle, I really like the look of it. It's very futuristic. In that way, it's similar to the Gold Wing. It looks great without the tour pack on it. Just as well, even a cruiser motorcycle looks much better without that tour pack. But if you want to carry all your stuff, the tour pack is optional. And in fact, they have a model of this motorcycle that comes with the tour pack. Bike is ultra smooth. The only other bike I would compare the smoothness to would be the Gold Wing with the flat 6-cylinder motor. This is an inline 6, and it's canted 55 degrees forward for a little bit more weight on the front wheel, which helps in high-speed handling. very fast motorcycle, and the brakes are fantastic as they are on all BMWs. Of course, it's got ABS as well as traction control and cornering ABS. Riding this motorcycle, though it may look like a cruiser type bagger, it certainly feels more like a sport tourer. The riding position is upright, just like you would find on a cruiser, and it was designed that way to be comfortable for all-day riding. One of the things I don't like about sport tourers is they kind of force you to lean forward all the time, which could get on your nerves after a while, cause a little bit of back pain. According to what I've read about this bike, it does, when you put it in rain mode, it reduces horsepower by about 20. So it goes from 160 down to 140, which of course is is more than enough, especially for this type of motorcycle. This is a bike that's designed for you to ride all day long, 500 mile, 1,000 mile days. Just pack up and go. Seat is very comfortable, very supportive as well. So I could see a person, you know, getting on this bike and just keep on riding. I think it's a 7-gallon gas tank, so you don't have to worry about stopping for gas too much. I don't know what the gas mileage figures are, but I'm guessing somewhere around 40, depending on how you ride. It's so smooth, this is almost like an electric motor. And by the way, if I didn't mention it already, this bike does have a reverse. And being that it weighs 740 pounds, that could come in handy. I'm going to change modes here. That's rain, road. This is dynamic. It's the one that gives you all the power. I just made that upshift without pulling the clutch in, and it works perfectly. Though this is a bagger and it's styled like a cruiser type bagger, it's actually more like a sport bike. If you want to tear up the canyons, this is a much better bike for that purpose. I'm not sure what the lean angle is on this bike, but I'm going to guess at least 40 degrees and probably closer to 42 degrees. With the Harley having a 32 degrees lean angle, yeah, you're not going to have as much fun if you're really tearing up the curvy roads as you would on this bike. Now, in a perfect world, I'd have my Harley, I'd have one of these, I'd have an adventure tourer, an around town bike, I'd have a garage full with motorcycles. But this is a perfectly fine motorcycle. If smoothness and speed and handling are your main concerns, you need to take this bike for a ride. So I hope you like this review I did on this motorcycle, and appreciate if you give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell. When you click that little bell, little thing is gonna pop up next to the bell saying notify. That means it's gonna notify you each time I come out with a new video, and I try to do at least 2 videos a week. So till next time,